All right, in our last video, we talked about how to collect our data. Now we need to think about how we're going to show it. Now, the best way to go about this is to use a table. A table should have numbers in it, and we set it up in a particular way to make sense of everything we're doing. So we're going to help you with that now. Your teacher will probably ask you to set up a spreadsheet, and that is this sort of thing, all right? And we can then create little boxes around it and to make it look like a table. My one suggestion though is you're trying to make it look as good as you possibly can, because your teacher is asking you to think about what you're doing and to show your data in a very, very nice and logical and sequential and nice setup, so it looks good too. So let's see what we need to do with our classic table. So when you're setting up your table for your data, we always set it up like this. Our first column is going to be our independent variable. Now this is going to have the values we are going to use. Let's say in this one, I've got one which is talking about a pendulum, and we change the length of the string and to see what happens with 5 complete swings. So you're setting this up. Now I would set these up so that it goes from the smallest to largest lengths. All right, that's just me, because I think it makes it a lot easier. Now if we set this up properly, then it's going to be fine. So if we were measuring with a ruler the length of our string, we know that a ruler measures in centimetres and also has millimetre markings. Now, millimetre is 1/10 of a centimetre. So that means we are recording to, if we are using cm, so it's I've got here, we're recording to 1 decimal place. So all the numbers in here should be recorded to 1 decimal place. All right, now you'll notice the other variable, our dependent variable, in other words, what we're measuring, and we told the people what we're measuring. Notice all these columns here, these 4 columns called trial 1, trial 2, trial 3 and average, are all about the time for 5 complete swings. I know that because when the person has set this up, they've set it up and merged these cells above, the boxes above, so that they're saying that everything underneath this is about that. Just like everything underneath the string length over here was about string length, now everything here is about the time in seconds for these things. Now trial 1, trial 2 and trial 3 are basically your attempts. Now notice that for each of these, each of the string lengths, we are doing 3 trials. So we've now set up a beautiful table that is going to look at how our independent and dependent variables could be related to each other, and let's see if they are. Right, but what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that all of the information is here. As I said, we know that that is all going to be about centimetres, length of string, the length of string in centimetres, all that column. Over here, these are going to be the time it takes for 5 complete swings. This is our first go at that length. This is our second go at that length. This is our third go at that length. Now remember, we do more than one trial just to check our results. Notice we've got average here as well, and the average is about the time swings as well. So we always should have it in here. Some people might say that's not raw data, but we're collecting data about this, and so it's okay to include this as long as we are clear in our headings what's going on. Okay, it's very important. Of course, I know that all these numbers here, that one, that column, that column, that column, and that column are all about seconds. Right, the last thing, and probably the most important thing, underneath the headings, we don't write anything. We don't put S for seconds. All we do is put the numbers. Now, we put the numbers for that trial, the numbers for that trial, the numbers for that trial, and eventually we can work out the average. But that's another story. Right, so these should only be numbers. Now, if our stopwatch measures to 2 decimal places, all these numbers, including the average, will end up being to 2 decimal places. Right? As I said, if the string length in centimetres is to 1 decimal place, all these numbers are 1 decimal place. And that is fine. Now, I would suggest that you would also try to make this as presentable and as beautiful as possible. And I would have all of my numbers in the centre of my columns, right? And try to have things going as well as I can. Now, if you're doing that, you are satisfying the criteria. And that's what we're here for.